Have you ever noticed how some people become uncomfortable when you stop seeking their approval? The moment you decide that their opinions no longer dictate your choices, their smiles fade, their energy shifts, and suddenly you become a problem. But here's the truth. They don't hate you, they hate that you are free. Free from their judgment, free from their expectations, free from their invisible chains. This video is about that freedom, what we call unbothered energy, a state of mind where you are no longer controlled by the noise of the world. But let me be clear, being unbothered does not mean being cold or careless. It means you are so rooted in your truth that their opinions, their games, and their manipulations no longer move you. And let me tell you something, people don't know what to do with a soul they cannot control. They fear what they can't influence, and they despise what they can't break. You, as a chosen one, know this well. You've walked into rooms and felt the tension without anyone saying a word. You've experienced the cold stares and the fake smiles, not because you did anything wrong, but because you dared to be unapologetically yourself. So, if you've ever been misunderstood, judged, or isolated simply because you stopped playing their game, you are in the right place. And if you feel this message in your soul, type 77 in the comments and let the world know you are here, you are free, and you are unshakable. In this video, we will break down what unbothered energy truly is, why it makes people uncomfortable, and how you can master it to walk through life with confidence and peace. Your journey to being unbothered starts now. The true meaning and origins of unbothered energy. Unbothered energy is not a trend. It's not an attitude. It is a state of being that comes from within. At its core, being unbothered means you are deeply at peace with who you are. It is the result of self-acceptance so profound that no opinion, no rumor, and no judgment can shake your foundation. People often mistake this energy for arrogance, but it's not arrogance, it's alignment. It means you are no longer performing for the world, you are living for your soul. But where does this energy come from? It doesn't arrive overnight. It is forged through self-discovery and self-mastery. It begins when you strip away everything the world told you to be and meet the raw, unfiltered version of yourself. It is born when you stop chasing validation and realize that your worth was never meant to be proven, it was meant to be owned. Unbothered energy also grows through adversity. Every time someone tried to break you, criticize you, or manipulate you, and you chose to stay true to yourself, you built another layer of this energy. Each heartbreak, each betrayal, and each rejection became a brick in the fortress of your self-worth. But let's be clear, being unbothered does not mean you are emotionless. It means you have emotional mastery. It means you choose your battles, protect your peace, and refuse to let every insult or opinion rent space in your mind. It's a sign of wisdom, not coldness. You see, people who are truly unbothered have faced their shadows. They have confronted their insecurities, healed their wounds, and accepted their imperfections. They are not driven by ego, but by authenticity. And because they live from within, they are no longer pulled in 1,000 directions by outside forces. The noise of the world no longer feels personal because they understand this truth. People's opinions are often more about their fears than your flaws. When you reach this level of self-acceptance, you become untouchable, not because the world stops criticizing, but because their words lose the power to define you. Why your unbothered energy makes them uncomfortable. Your unbothered energy is more than a mindset, it's a mirror. When you walk into a room completely at peace with who you are, you silently reflect back to others what they lack within themselves. This is why people react to your presence without you saying a word. They are not reacting to you, they are reacting to what you represent. You represent freedom from approval. You represent self-love without conditions. And that makes them uncomfortable because it exposes the parts of themselves they haven't healed. Your confidence becomes a trigger. You will notice that people who have not done the inner work often misinterpret your peace. They call it arrogance, aloofness, or even selfishness. But what they are really saying is, how dare you not need my approval to feel worthy? Their discomfort stems from envy, because deep down, they wish they could be as free as you are. But rather than confronting their insecurities, they project their frustrations onto you. They try to bring you down with criticism, hoping you will shrink to make them feel taller. But here is what they don't understand. You didn't reach this level of peace by accident. You earned it through battles they've never fought. Your indifference to their negativity isn't rudeness, it's wisdom. You've learned that not every opinion requires a response, and not every battle deserves your energy. And here's something powerful. Your unbothered energy threatens the illusion of control. When people can't manipulate you with guilt, shame, or fear, they feel powerless. They may gossip about you, try to discredit you, or even isolate you. But understand this, their reaction is a confession. It's proof that your energy is more powerful than their games. So, do not dim your light to comfort their darkness. Do not shrink to fit into their insecurities. You are not here to make them comfortable, you are here to be free. Remember this, when people are bothered by your peace, it's because they are still at war with themselves. Let them wrestle with their shadows while you walk in your light. Stay unbothered, stay true, and stay free. The power of self-acceptance. The greatest power you will ever hold is the power to accept yourself fully. Self-acceptance is not just about liking who you are, it is about embracing every part of you, even the parts that the world taught you to hide. True self-acceptance is when you stop fighting yourself and start standing with yourself. It is when you realize that your worth was never something to be earned through perfection, but something to be remembered through authenticity. For chosen ones, this journey is especially difficult because the world has spent your whole life telling you that you are too much or not enough. Too intense, too different, too deep. So you learn to shrink, to silence yourself, to fit molds that were never designed for you. But here is the truth. Self-acceptance is the key that breaks those molds forever. It is the moment you decide that every scar, every flaw, every failure is not something to erase, but something to embrace. And here's what most people don't realize. Self-acceptance is a battle. It is a battle against every lie you were told about yourself. It is a battle against the voice in your head that repeats those lies. It is a battle against the need for approval from people who don't even understand your journey. And the hardest part is realizing that you don't need to be fixed. You need to be found. Found beneath the layers of expectations, beyond the masks you wore to survive, found in your rawest, realest form. And when you find that version of yourself, love it fiercely. Because once you accept yourself, you become unstoppable. You stop chasing validation because you have already been validated from within. You stop fearing rejection because you are no longer rejecting yourself. This is why self-acceptance is power. It frees you from the prison of proving and places you in the sanctuary of being. And the world will feel that shift. They will feel it in your voice, in your choices, in your presence. Because nothing shakes a person who has chosen themselves, and nothing moves a person who has made peace with their own soul. How to stand firm against criticism and judgment. Criticism is inevitable. Judgment is guaranteed. The moment you choose authenticity over approval, the world will have something to say. But here's what you must understand. Criticism is often not about you, it is about them. It is a reflection of their insecurities, their projections, their discomfort with your freedom. So the question is not, how do I avoid criticism? Because you can't. The question is, how do I stand firm when it comes? The first step is to know who you are. Most people crumble under criticism because they are still uncertain of their own identity. When you don't know yourself, every insult feels personal, every judgment feels true. But when you are rooted in your truth, their opinions become noise, loud but powerless. The second step is to understand the game they are playing. You see, many people don't criticize to correct you, they criticize to control you. They use judgment to shrink you, to mold you into someone more comfortable for them. But here is your power. You are not obligated to play their game. You don't owe anyone an explanation for being you, so stop explaining, stop defending. You are not here to be understood, you are here to be authentic. The third step is boundaries. Criticism becomes a weapon only when you allow it to reach your heart. Set boundaries, not just with people, but with their opinions. That means you decide whose feedback matters and whose does not. Not every voice deserves your ear. Not every opinion deserves your energy. And here is the most powerful truth. The more you grow, the more they will talk. Why? Because your growth reminds them of their stagnation. Your courage exposes their fear. Your authenticity highlights their conformity, so let them talk, let them misunderstand you, let them judge, but do not let them move you. Stand firm, not because you are trying to prove them wrong, but because you have already proven yourself right. Remember this: the tallest trees face the strongest winds, but they do not break, they deepen their roots. So when the winds of criticism blow, do not bend, do not fold. Stand tall, stand firm, stand free. The isolation of being a chosen one. Let's tell the truth, being a chosen one is lonely. Not the loneliness of empty rooms, but the loneliness of misunderstood souls. It is the isolation of walking a path that most people can't see, let alone follow. And the hardest part, it's not being alone, it's being surrounded by people who cannot meet you where you are. You see, when you are called to something greater, the road gets narrower. People start to fall away, not because you did something wrong, but because your frequency shifted. Your growth makes conversations feel shallow. Your clarity makes drama feel pointless. Your purpose makes their games feel exhausting. And so, isolation becomes the price you pay for elevation. But here is what the world never told you: isolation is not a punishment, it is a preparation. Think of every great soul who ever walked this earth. Before they led, they left. Before they spoke, they silenced. Before they rose, they retreated. Why? Because isolation is where the anointing happens. It is where you stop hearing the world and start hearing your soul. It is where you face your shadows without distraction and find your light within the darkness. But I won't lie to you, this path is heavy. The nights feel long. The silence feels deafening. You will wonder, why me? You will crave connection, only to find that few can understand your heart. You will try to explain your vision, only to be met with blank stares. But let me tell you something, you are not alone, you are chosen. And chosen souls are called to carve the path, not follow it. The isolation you feel is proof that you are on the front line, breaking cycles, shattering limits, becoming the person you were born to be. And though it feels like no one sees you, know this: the right ones will find you. Your tribe, your people, your soul family, they may be few, but they are real, and they will meet you, not in the crowd, but on the mountaintop. So until they arrive, stay the course, trust the process. The isolation is temporary, but the transformation it brings will last forever. The 3 daily practices for becoming unbothered. Becoming truly unbothered is not a decision you make once. It is a practice you commit to daily. It is a muscle that grows stronger through discipline, self-awareness, and conscious choice. Many people think unbothered energy is about ignoring the world, but it's not. It's about mastering yourself so deeply that the world no longer has the power to shake you. Here are 3 daily practices that will root you in your power and shield you from the noise. First, the practice of deep self-reflection. Unbothered energy comes from clarity, and clarity comes from knowing yourself. Every day, spend time alone, not scrolling, not performing, but listening to your own soul. Journal your thoughts, your fears, your dreams. Ask yourself, what is truly mine and what have I borrowed from the world? Because most of the anxiety people feel comes from chasing goals that aren't even their own. Self-reflection is where you separate your truth from the noise. And the clearer you become on who you are and what you stand for, the less power the world has to confuse or shake you. Second, the practice of emotional detachment. Being unbothered is not about feeling nothing, it's about mastering your reactions. Start practicing this daily. Before you respond to anything, pause and ask yourself, does this deserve my energy? Because most conflicts are not about you, they are about the other person's projections. When someone criticizes you, remember, their opinion is a reflection of their world, not yours. Emotional detachment is the power to observe without absorbing. It's knowing that you can acknowledge a situation without becoming entangled in it. The more you practice this, the more peaceful you become, because you realize that most things simply aren't worth your energy. Third, the practice of protecting your circle. Every day, guard your space. Energy is contagious, and the people you surround yourself with either feed your peace or fuel your chaos. Make it a practice to limit access to those who drain your spirit. You do not need to answer every message, attend every event, or entertain every opinion. Remember, your energy is sacred, and access to you is a privilege, not a right. Surround yourself with people who speak life into you, who celebrate your authenticity, and who are also doing their inner work. Because when your circle is aligned, your peace becomes unshakable. Master these 3 practices daily: self-reflection, emotional detachment, and protecting your circle, and watch how the world's noise fades into the background. Because being unbothered isn't about escaping the world, it's about becoming so deeply rooted in yourself that the world loses its grip on you. How unbothered energy transforms your life. When you step into unbothered energy, everything changes, not just how the world sees you, but how you experience the world. Most people spend their lives imprisoned by opinions, seeking approval, avoiding judgment, and performing for acceptance. But when you become unbothered, you break free from that prison, and the shift is profound. First, your peace becomes non-negotiable. You stop being emotionally hijacked by every comment, conflict, or crisis. Problems still come, but they no longer shake your foundation. You start to experience life from a place of power, not reaction. People notice the difference. They see that you no longer flinch under pressure, and suddenly you become intimidating, not because you are aggressive, but because you are untouchable. Second, you attract differently. When you stop chasing approval, you start attracting respect. People who thrive on drama fall away because they can no longer feed on your reactions. But in their place, you attract those who value your authenticity, people who are drawn to your calm, your clarity, and your confidence. Your circle becomes smaller, but it becomes stronger. You realize that alignment is more powerful than attention, and genuine connection is more valuable than popularity. Third, your focus sharpens. Unbothered energy clears the mental clutter created by overthinking, people-pleasing, and self-doubt. You stop wasting energy on what doesn't matter and pour it into what does. Your goals become clearer. Your progress becomes faster. Why? Because you are no longer distracted by trying to be everything for everyone. You become unstoppable because you are moving with purpose, not permission. Lastly, you experience freedom like never before. The freedom to say no without guilt. The freedom to succeed without explanation. The freedom to be disliked without apology. You realize that your life is yours to live, not a performance for the world's approval. And in that freedom, you find something priceless: joy, not the fleeting joy of validation, but the lasting joy of living life on your own terms. Unbothered energy does not just change how you handle life, it changes how you live life. It moves you from surviving to thriving. And the most beautiful part, once you have tasted this freedom, you will never go back. The ultimate power of being unapologetically yourself. There is nothing more powerful than a soul that has made peace with who they are. Being unapologetically yourself means living with no masks and no apologies. It means honoring your truth, your quirks, your flaws, and your gifts, fully and unashamedly. Most people live their entire lives editing themselves, shrinking their opinions, silencing their passions, and hiding their uniqueness, all to fit into boxes they never belonged in. But when you choose to live unapologetically, you break those boxes and rewrite the rules. The power of being unapologetically yourself is that you become unshakable. Why? Because when you are no longer performing for approval, there is nothing they can take from you. They can criticize you, but it won't move you because you are not performing for them. They can exclude you, but it won't break you because you are not living for their acceptance. You become untouchable, not because you are above them, but because you are rooted in you. But let's be honest, being unapologetically yourself is not easy. The world rewards conformity and punishes authenticity. The moment you choose yourself, some people will leave, some will misunderstand you, some will label you as difficult, arrogant, or rebellious. But here is what they won't tell you: their discomfort is the cost of your freedom, and freedom is always worth the price. The beauty of being unapologetically yourself is that it creates alignment. You attract people who love you for who you are, not who you pretend to be. You find opportunities that match your soul, not just your resume. And most importantly, you experience peace. Peace because you are no longer living two lives, the one the world expects and the one your soul craves. You become whole, you become free. But above all, here is the greatest power: you inspire others to do the same. When people see you living boldly in your truth, they begin to wonder, what if I could too? Your authenticity becomes a permission slip for others to stop hiding and start living. So live unapologetically, not because you have something to prove, but because you have nothing to hide. Your greatest power is being exactly who you were created to be, fully, freely, and fearlessly. You are not here to be understood, you are here to awaken the world. The world will not always understand you, and that's because you were never sent here to fit in. You were sent here to awaken, and awakening always looks strange to those who are still asleep. So they will question you, judge you, and try to label you. But here's the truth. Their confusion is not your concern. Too many people spend their lives dimming their light just to avoid being misunderstood. But let me tell you something. Misunderstanding is the price every great soul pays for living their truth. The greatest minds, the most powerful leaders, the most iconic changemakers, they were all misunderstood. But they never let the world's confusion stop their mission. You, as a chosen one, were not called to follow the path. You were called to create it. And pioneers are always misunderstood because your vision is too big for small minds. Your passion is too loud for silent rooms, and your truth is too raw for filtered conversations. But here's what you must remember. You are not here to be liked. You are here to lead. You awaken the world not by explaining yourself, but by being yourself, fully and unapologetically. You awaken the world by living so boldly in your truth that it forces people to confront their own. You awaken the world by shining so brightly that it becomes impossible for others to stay asleep. But awakening is not about noise, it is about presence. You don't need everyone to agree with you, you only need to be you. Because here's the secret, the world is not changed by those who are understood. It is changed by those who are felt. So release the need to be understood. Stop diluting your light to fit into their shadows. You are not here to fit their narrative, you are here to write a new one. And the right people, the ones you are meant to awaken, will find you. Not because you explained yourself perfectly, but because your light spoke to their soul. You are not here to be understood, you are here to awaken. And the world may not always applaud you, but it will remember you. So go ahead, live, speak, and shine, not for their approval, but for your purpose. Because you were never sent here to blend in. You were sent here to lead the way.